On Tech News today, Facebook is testing a YouTube killer and also a Twitter killer. Plus, it turns out hackers can silently control your phone through Siri or Google Now. And a mortal maker has created a fully functional Thor hammer. It's all coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This is Tech News Today for Wednesday, October 14th, 2015. This episode is brought to you by Braintree. Looking to set up payments for your business? Braintree gives your app or website a payment solution that accepts just about every method of payment with one simple integration. Plus, Braintree will give you the first $50,000 in transactions fee-free. To learn more, visit BraintreePayments.com/TNT. And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. Tech News Today is the show where we talk about the tech news with the journalists who report it. My name is Mike Elgan, and our co-anchor today is ZDNet contributing writer Kevin Tofel. Hey, Kevin, what's going on?
Hey, Mike. I'm keeping busy as always. Looking forward to doing the show.
You look so blue today. What's going on? Why so blue?
Well, no. I'm shopping these days to have shirts that match my office, and this was the closest I could come up with today. So.
It's the closest you can come to cheap camouflage. So anyway, all right. Well, this is really a crazy show. We have some really amazing news today. So you're going to definitely want to stick with us to the end because this is a really bizarre news day today. Let's start with our top story. Facebook is testing a YouTube-like video feed. Josh Constine is a senior writer for TechCrunch and joins us to tell us all about it. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's an exciting day.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Now, it makes sense, I guess, from Facebook's perspective that they would want to compete with YouTube as a destination for watching videos. How does this new video feed work?
So Facebook's trying to figure out a way for you to discover videos through your friends. A lot of people are sort of posing it as a competitor to YouTube, but it's almost more of an alternative because when you go to YouTube, you know what you want to watch. You're going to see some specific creator or some awesome viral video that's making the rounds. But on Facebook, it's about serendipitous video discovery. It's about finding videos you didn't even know you wanted to watch, but your friends or a page that you follow have shared them, and you're just in the middle of your news feed watching. But what Facebook wants to do is get you out of that serendipitous one-off video watching experience and instead have you actually watch lots of videos in a row. And so what it's done is it's created a separate feed, which is accessible through the bookmarks for the small group of people that are in the test. And they'll be able to see just a whole list of different videos in these different channels. So you'll have a channel of videos that your friends have shared, a channel of videos shared by pages that you follow, trending videos, videos you've watched before. And you can scroll down through that feed and then horizontally through the different content as you see in this animated GIF.
So, Josh, I think it's a smart play on Facebook's part, and I've often said that the only constant thing about Facebook is that it's constantly changing. And I remember when people got really irked when Facebook broke out its Messenger app from Facebook, made a whole separate app. You had written that people in this test for the videos, the Messenger button is actually replaced by the videos. So do you think they're going to get rid of this Messenger button entirely now and just replace it with videos, or what are they going to do here?
No, I don't think so. I think the idea is basically they want to get good data on this test, so they just put it in a really prominent place. And yeah, some people might gripe about the fact that the button is where the Messenger button normally is, but I don't imagine that's where it'll be in a final rollout, unless they really rejigger the whole navigation of the app. But really, I think it's about them figuring out what works for discovery. So Facebook is trying a whole bunch of different ways for you to watch videos. They've got suggested videos beneath the video when you watch something. After you watch it, you'll see a list of other related videos that you might watch afterwards. They've got picture-in-picture viewing. They've got the option to save a video to view it later. And basically, Facebook's trying everything it can to figure out how do people want to watch videos, and then it'll roll out what actually works.
Now, Facebook told you that they might bring, or at least they're open to bringing this feature to smart TVs. And one obvious destination for that would be Apple TV, because, of course, Apple wants to provide the best TV experience, like several of the providers do. But they also have this kind of anything but Google policy. They try to work with lots of people like Facebook and so on, but they don't like working with Google. Would this be potentially something that Apple TV might offer as an alternative to YouTube, in the sense that people want viral videos that are flying around the internet, and this could be a way to give it to them without giving them Google?
Yeah, I mean, Facebook and Apple form a natural alliance against Google because Google is just doing so many things. So it ends up competing with both of those companies. And yeah, I think a laid back Facebook video watching experience could be great. Sure, the newsfeed works for while you're out and about, and you might come across a single video, watch for 30 seconds, and then go back to reading news or seeing photos from your friends. But if you're home after a long day and you just want to sit down and watch some cool content, you can imagine Facebook providing a lean back video experience where you just watch video after video on your smart TV. And yeah, that would work perfectly on Apple TV, but always Facebook wants, mass accessibility. It's trying to build for as many people as it can at once. So I wouldn't expect it to sort of be a proprietary system which would only work with Apple TV, but instead it's just trying to get as many ways for people to watch organic video as possible, because the more organic videos that Facebook can get into its feed and get people used to watching, the more it can insert those very lucrative video advertisements.
Yeah, I was just going to go there, Josh, because that's really what this is all about, boosting engagement and ad revenues. And, let's assume that the test goes well and they do roll this out. How much impact do you think this will have on, say, Google's YouTube revenues and the engagement over there?
I think that there's so much ad spend sloshing over from television as advertisers seek places where they can get much better targeting than just massive demographic swaths that they get with television. So I think that there's plenty of dollars to go around. It's really just a question of whether Facebook can come in and provide an experience which really works for people and for advertisers. But I would contest that it's not necessarily all about advertising dollars, because for Facebook, they see video as this natural progression. When Facebook started way back when, it was all about text. And then eventually people got into photos. It seems crazy that Facebook didn't have photos for a while, but it really didn't. And now we're moving into video, and eventually it sees virtual reality as the next step in content. But Facebook has to keep with the times and keep offering the most up-to-date and most vivid content formats to keep people interested. So this is something it had to do no matter what, and the ad revenue is just sort of a nice bonus.
They also have to do something about piracy, for lack of a better term, stolen videos, posted without the permission of the person who's trying to monetize it somewhere else, on YouTube, for example. And you mentioned that Facebook's working on a tool that's kind of like YouTube's Content ID. What more do you know about that project?
Yeah, so creators are pissed off because what's happening is Facebook publishers and other Facebook pages are going maybe to their YouTube links or their Facebook links, ripping those videos and then sharing them as if they're their own. And then when people reshare those videos, they're getting more followers that really don't belong to them. They didn't earn those followers. They didn't make that video content. But the systems Facebook has used to combat this piracy have been pretty mediocre. They've been third-party tools that Facebook has contracted in. But now it's been working on a very strong, much more full-featured anti-piracy tool internally that it's working to release pretty soon. And when I talked to Facebook yesterday, they revealed that they have two big intentions. They're not finalizing any of the functionality, but they said what they want is to offer creators options rather than just saying, hey, block anybody else who's trying to show my video, which is sort of a clumsy way of dealing with piracy because it just leads to that content being pulled off the internet, which in some cases isn't what content creators want. Instead, they'll offer that option, but hopefully they're also going to offer an option where creators can say, no, leave those other copies of the video up, but pay me a share of the ad revenue that they end up generating. And so if Facebook can make this work, it'll make it so people aren't afraid to share content. They don't have to necessarily worry exactly where it comes from, but they just won't, the people who originally created the video will be compensated. And that means big creators who make really beautiful video art will be sharing their content on Facebook, not just on YouTube, where the Content ID works similarly, and they can actually get paid for their work.
Everybody's spending a ton of time on Facebook these days, but you do it professionally. I'm curious, how much time do you spend each day on Facebook?
I mean, literally all day. I think I spend 10 hours a day during my workday on Facebook. I always have the window open. And then, I run so much of my social life through it. It happens there as well. And that's interesting because that's Facebook's next big move, is the idea that they own so much time on mobile while so many other people, their apps are mediocre, they don't perform well, they don't have large user bases, that Facebook is starting to try to farm that time out to other people and then share the revenue from it. So whether that's providing this video feed and compensating video creators, Facebook also this week started testing a new shopping feed, which is just all sorts of different different products that have been shared to your newsfeed that you might want to buy. And they're basically saying, hey, mobile shopping retailers, nobody's coming to your website. Nobody wants to download a special app just for your shopping experience. Build your shopping experience into Facebook where people already spend their time, and we're going to split the money and both get rich together.
Wow, 10 hours a day. Folks, don't try this at home. He's a trained and licensed professional.
I am at the toxicity level of internet addiction.
Your friends are going to do an intervention. Josh Constine is at TechCrunch.com, and that's also where you can find the article we talked about today. And also on Twitter at Josh Constine, and of course on Facebook, just search for his name. Josh, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, it's my distinct pleasure.
All right, well, we got some more news coming right up, but first I want to talk about Braintree. I get so frustrated when I go to a site and I want to buy something, and their payment process is like weird or difficult, or they don't take the sort of form of payment that I'd like to use. And that's why Braintree is so great. They give your customers every imaginable way to pay. I mean, you name it. You can pay with PayPal if you want to. You can pay with Android Pay. You can pay with Apple Pay. You can pay with any credit card. You can even pay with Bitcoin. If you're into Bitcoin, you can just go to any Braintree supporting company and pay with Bitcoin. Super easy. And that's why companies like Uber, Hotel Tonight, Living Social, Munchery, Airbnb, all the big unicorns, all the really successful startups use Braintree because it's just so great. It takes care of, just simply handles the whole payment situation and makes the user experience around payments just fantastic. They are available in 40-plus countries and 130 currencies. I don't think I could even name a fraction of 130 currencies offhand. There's so many currencies, so many ways to pay, so much flexibility for your customers. Do your customers a favor, do yourself a favor, and use Braintree. It just solves the whole payment issue once and for all. Braintree gives you a full-stack payment solution, support for all payment types. One integration across all platforms gives you superior fraud protection, superior customer service, and super fast payouts. Check it out for yourself. Go to BraintreePayments.com/TNT. Motherboard is reporting that Uber accidentally exposed the data of around 674 Uber drivers online. It's bad, folks. This includes scans of their driver's licenses, social security numbers, tax forms, and more. Lorenzo Franceschi-Bicchierai is a staff writer for Motherboard's Vice. He wrote the article, and he joins us now to talk about it. Welcome to the show, Lorenzo.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. Now, how the heck did this happen?
Well, we don't know exactly how it happened, but for some reason, Uber, there was a bug or a glitch in Uber's partners app and website. So whenever a driver went to their own app and profile and access their documents folder, instead of seeing just their own documents, their tax forms, their driver's license, they were able to see everyone's driver's license, or at least the documents of 674 other people, according to Uber. It seems like these were only like US people, so maybe it was just a glitch in the US platform. But this was up for like at least a couple of hours. And there was a forum, like an unofficial Uber drivers forum, where people were complaining about it around like 3 p.m. yesterday, and the fix was not like issued until at least 5 p.m. So for 2 hours, if you were an Uber driver, you were able to like see what other drivers' documents were. So yeah, it's, as you said, it's pretty bad.
Lorenzo, I'm sitting here shaking my head because every time Uber is in the news about lawsuits and if they're really an employer or the drivers are independent contractors or not, Uber always says, "Hey, we're just a middleman. We just have an app and we put people together with drivers." So I'm sitting here and I'm shaking my head going, Uber, you had one job. You had one job here to keep this data secure, and they didn't do it. What has the company said, and what are they going to do about this?
Yeah, obviously, I agree with you. I mean, they apologized. They said that they said it only exposed fewer than 1,000 documents. I don't know if that's like, depends on what you think, if that's like a low or a high number. But yeah, the drivers are obviously very upset. We just actually published a story a few minutes ago about drivers complaining about this because they were, flabbergasted. They were like, shocked that all their documents were available pretty much for everyone, because it's not that hard to register as a driver. So pretty much anyone could have access to these documents. And also, like actually today, some of them were complaining that after Uber fixed this bug, some of their own documents were gone and they had to re-upload them and the system didn't work. So it seems like they're still like trying to fix it.
And just to be clear, the forum you referenced was on Reddit. It's a specific Reddit forum for Uber drivers themselves. You know, it also has to be said that this type of data is perfect for identity theft. I mean, you know, you can basically just, you know, anybody who took this data could just send the photo of the driver's license to China and say, I want one of these just like this, but with my name on it, or with the same name on it, because I also have that person's social security card number. So this is just really awful. Is this part of a larger trend of horrible security at Uber, or is this a sort of an unusual event for them?
No, unfortunately, this is not the first time that, you know, we've seen security problems with Uber. I mean, it all started like last year. Earlier this year, they had like a big data breach in which a database for drivers was exposed. They had to send like, you know, identity theft protection to all these drivers. Then earlier this year also, they accidentally exposed a list of lost items. So you could see what everyone else had lost on an Uber car. And then obviously the still ongoing problem with hacked profiles, where a lot of people got their profiles hacked and got like fraudulent trips charged on their credit cards. And that wasn't a data breach. That's important to note. Like Uber was not breached in that case. It was more of a case of users using bad passwords. But Uber did not react very well to these cases because they made mistakes like sending reset passwords in plain text via email, which security experts have long said that it's not the right thing to do. Or even last week, there was another bug related to this, which allowed hackers to keep control of hacked accounts even after the user had changed their password.
Lorenzo, in the case of these type of data breaches and such, we typically see, depending on the scope of it, how many people are affected. It's not, or I should say, it's not uncommon to see, say, a class action lawsuit. I know this just happened, and I know you don't know the actual answer to this, but I'm curious your opinion. Do you think any of these 674 drivers will actually band together and go after Uber in some type of suit over this?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, obviously nobody knows at this point, but it's not far-fetched. I mean, we've seen so many class action lawsuits lately. You know, the Ashley. I think there were some for Ashley Madison. There was that one against LinkedIn that was announced last week. I mean, I guess class actions lawsuits are not that hard to do. So, and when people are, you know, upset, it's an easy avenue for sure.
All right. Well, thank goodness I'm not an Uber driver, at least one of those who got victimized by this. And, of course, if you see these things in the wild, make sure you report it to Uber. Lorenzo Franceschi-Bicchierai is at motherboard.vice.com and on Twitter at LorenzoFB. Lorenzo, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye. Well, not content with going after Amazon with a shopping section and Google with a YouTube clone, Facebook is now looking to finish off Twitter by testing an app called Notify, which provides real-time news, according to a report at The All. The app appears to enable you to set notifications based on content categories, which turns your smartphone's home screen into a Twitter-like newsfeed. Notify may launch next month. Kevin Tofel, I think that it makes sense for Facebook to do something around Twitter. Of course, people like you and me who are just, you know, have the fire hose pointed at us all day looking for breaking news and so on, love this sort of thing. And, you know, that's mostly, I'm guessing it's the same for you, but for me, Twitter is mostly about discovering news, new stories. And, of course, something like this would be great. What do you think of this? I think the weird thing about this is that this isn't a feature inside Facebook.com or inside the Facebook app. This is a separate app that basically uses your phone. You know, it kind of reminds me, remember Facebook Home, which tried to hijack the home screen? What do you think of this development?
Yeah, I see this more as something similar to what we talked about earlier today, Facebook doing a test of something. It almost looks to me like it's I guess the best way to describe it, an aggregator for whatever news topics you're interested in. but it seems like it's just going to shoot you notifications like Twitter would anyway. And or if you had certain apps installed that where you get your news and you have notifications set up on those, you're getting those anyway too. It seems sort of redundant, kind of like Facebook is trying to place itself somewhere where in the middle where it could, gain some value here. But I'm not sold on the value yet. I mean, obviously the product's not out yet, and we're basing opinions on reports and all that. But what I see so far reported, I'm not too enthused by it, and I am, drinking from that Twitter fire hose all day long as well.
Yeah, the great thing about Twitter is you can customize it and tailor it. I'm always leery of these breaking news apps and features and so on, where you basically say, "Oh, I want all the news from the world of entertainment or lifestyle, whatever that is," and you just get this general. You get the same old, same old. It's almost never breaking. It's almost never timely enough. That's why I use tools like Twitter, which you can very carefully find the Twitter feeds that are giving you really great content and not too much of it. You can also, I use things like, Google Alerts, which is just a great service that comes into email. But you can tailor it very, very finely. Something like this will be a little bit more clunky, a little bit more directed at the masses, which Facebook is going after. But still, it's a news feed from Facebook. They want all the eyeballs.
I'd rather follow people and have them help me curate and find good things rather than just topics and so on. And that's maybe why I'm not too keen on this.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of Facebook, Facebook introduced in March a feature called On This Day, which shows you posts from the same day in previous years, like anniversary type stuff. Unfortunately, Facebook's algorithms were unable to tell whether news was good or bad, so they showed you posts about getting engaged. Yay! As well as posts about getting fired. Boo! You don't want to remember that. Oh, the big layoffs of 2013. Wow. Well, now you can edit what it shows you, so you don't have to be reminded of unhappy memories. You can just go in there and tweak it, and so in the future you can just remember the good stuff.
I actually love this On This Day feature. I check it every day. It's a nice, I guess, a diary of things that I've done or written or read in the past, gosh, 8-9 years on Facebook. And the ability to customize this is great because next March 9th, I don't want to remember the Gig Home shut down last year. So.
Yeah, exactly. I'm constantly reminded. I used to do a lot of travel, used to live abroad a lot. So it's always telling me, oh, 3 years ago, you were living the Vida Loca in like Kenya. Stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, wow, I should go back there. It's very cool. My son's 1-year wedding anniversary was a few days ago, and that was great to see those come flooding because almost everybody in the family and so on got those notifications on Facebook, shared them, and so it was like a great way to do an anniversary. That's when it really, really works. Well, in Hack Attack news, French researchers have discovered that Google Now and Siri not only respond to voice commands, but also commands sent silently by hackers via radio from up to 16 feet away. The researchers work at the French Government Information Security Agency called ANSSI, and they found that earbuds that also contain a microphone can act as an antenna, enabling hackers to send radio signals that the phone receives as spoken commands. The news was reported in Wired. I love this kind of crazy, hack potential stuff, Kevin, because it's just so unexpected. Using the earbuds as an antenna, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways you can use hardware in different ways that it wasn't intended. You could use a microphone actually as a speaker, for example, and so on. It's a little concerning to me, though. I mean, I don't want to be worried that as I walk past somebody, they're sending signals to my iPhone or my Android phone this way. But I would think I would know. Siri or Google Now would kind of pipe up, I would hope.
I would hope so as well and respond so you could hear it. Well, Microsoft has quietly broken a record in their research lab. Microsoft Research has what they call an anechoic chamber, which is a room designed to minimize noise and reflected sound. They use it for testing products like Cortana, as well as testing speakers and microphones and other components. Microsoft destroyed the old record of minus 13 dBA, that's A-weighted decibels, by achieving the noise level of minus 20 dBA. Kevin Tofel, I think you would go nuts after like 10 minutes in a room like this. Not you personally, people in general.
Oh, no, I personally would. I constantly have background noise and music playing. And although I could use this because UPS just showed up and I heard my dog just now barking. So I need to put him in a room like this, I think. It's pretty impressive. Microsoft Research is really an underrated group, I think. And you may not see a lot of great end user products from them, but they come up with a lot of great, interesting ideas. So this is cool stuff.
It certainly is, and we had a story yesterday about Apple's use of a similar chamber, not quite as sophisticated as Microsoft's apparently, where they had a big problem with their new Magic Mouse 2, which made a sound. They didn't like the sound of it, so they have this system where they identify the exact place on the device where the sound is coming from, or the different places where different sounds are coming from, so that they can fine-tune the sound. And they changed the whole roller situation on the bottom of their mice to tweak the sound, again, in one of these crazy silent rooms.
Yeah, they actually did something similar with their Magic Trackpad because the sound was different of the click from the prior version. They didn't like it, so they used geometry to redesign the feet on it, and that's all they had to do to make the sound different. It's just, who would have thought of that?
Exactly. And then, of course, Microsoft has its silent unhinging system for the Surface Book, and they actually added an electronic sound that sounds like, you know, something being unlatched, when in fact nothing is being unlatched. It's the muscle memory technology that they have that essentially just squeezes it tight. So very strange. Well, in the world of insecurity, University of Cambridge researchers say that most Android devices are vulnerable to attack. Their study found that on average, 87.7% of Android devices are exposed to at least one of 11 known critical vulnerabilities. The university's security eggheads used a free Android app called Device Analyzer, and the owners of about 20,400 devices opted into the study. The researchers don't blame Google, but instead say the handset makers themselves failed to provide timely updates that would fix the vulnerabilities. Google's Nexus devices were found to be the most secure because of Google's frequent update process. Kevin, even though that Nexi are the most secure, they're really, even those phones aren't that secure.
Well, you know, Android is constantly under a barrage of attacks from various people who are putting malware out there or whatever they're going to do. And I think the University of Cambridge is correct. I mean, you can't totally blame Google at this point, and that's because Google has set things up with Android years ago to rely on handset makers and carriers, unlike Apple, which, you know, Apple will send you software updates directly, including security updates. It is handset makers, and you know, I know that Google is committed to monthly security updates now, and that helps, but only to a point if they have to rely on the handset maker partners and the carriers to get these things pushed out. So, you know, it's really getting frustrating as somebody who likes Android to see this kind of news. I mean, I don't have a defense against it when people complain about Android security. I don't think most people will be affected by any malware or anything like that, but still, you know, there's more potential for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you know, there's no substitute for forcing these updates. But of course, people don't like to have things forced on them, and OEMs don't like to have to be forced to do things by Google either. That's one of the reasons why Android's the biggest operating system in the history of mankind, because they let the OEMs do their own thing for the most part. But this is one of the downsides of that. Well, in the Human Resources Department, Twitter today named Omid Kordestani, Google's former chief business officer, as its new executive chairman. Kevin Tofel, this is a kind of an interesting choice, I think. This guy was so Googly. He was like so embedded in Google for so long, so associated with Google, and now he's executive chairman of Twitter.
Well, no, and I think it's a good move for Twitter. And as much as we see people who are, you know, you think they'd never leave their company in Silicon Valley, you know, the grass is always greener somewhere else. Somebody's going to make a better offer at some point. So I'm not totally surprised that they got a big-time Googler to actually make the move.
All right, we got some news you can lose coming right up, a couple of items that you're really going to want to see or hear. But first, I want to talk about ZipRecruiter, one of our sponsors today. Of course, I've hired a lot of people, and I've also fired a lot of people and had to lay off people in my career. And firing and laying off people is the worst thing you can do, have to do as a manager. It's very difficult to do. And that always happens either because something didn't work out right, either on the part of the company, or something didn't work out right on the part of the employee. In both cases, the quality of the people that is hired over time is one of the biggest factors in what you have to do later in terms of firing or laying people off. You want to grow as a company, you want to succeed as a company, and there's no better way to approach that than hiring great people. You just want to hire the best people. And of course, you can always hire someone, and you can always convince yourself that that someone is a great person, but you're not really hiring the best person unless you've looked everywhere, high and low, for where those people are, and ZipRecruiter helps you do that. You can post your job to 100+ job boards with a single click, and that is a wide net. And you'll never know where that best person is working. And over time, as you use ZipRecruiter over the months and years in your company or in your department, the quality of your staff, the quality of your company, the quality of your department will grow and grow. You want the top people in your company, and ZipRecruiter is how you make that happen. You just post once, and within 24 hours, your candidates roll in to ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface, and they'll make the whole process of getting those people in, interviewing them, all that stuff happen as well as it can possibly happen. We got a user testimonial from a happy user named Scott who said, the recruiting process used to be so painful. Before I'd post to several places, get a million resumes, but only a few responses from qualified candidates. It was torture. But with ZipRecruiter, we post once and get qualified candidates in one easy-to-review place. We've hired some of our best employees using ZipRecruiter. And Scott here, nailed it exactly. It's all about hiring the best employees. Yeah, you can go on and on about how easy ZipRecruiter is, but hiring the best people is what really matters. Today, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. That's ZipRecruiter.com, and don't forget the /TNT part. And we thank ZipRecruiter for their support. Well, in news you can lose, the U.S. Naval Academy is preparing for future naval officers for cyber attacks. How are they doing this? Well, the Academy has reinstated lessons on celestial navigation, using the stars to navigate with a sextant. 20 years after such instruction was cut because the GPS system made it unnecessary. The Navy is planning to roll out celestial navigation to enlisted sailors in the future as well. The sextant was invented in concept by Isaac Newton. Kevin Tofel, is this part of a wider trend? I mean, this is a kind of a survivalist mentality. It's all going to go south in the future. It all could go south. So we're going to learn to make fire with sticks and navigate by the stars. And we're going to teach all the sailors how to row the boat so that we, I mean, this is a, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but is this going to be a trend where we all have to have these primitive skills just in case it all goes south one day?
I think it does make sense. It all depends on how far the organizations take this. I don't know that we'll have to come up with workarounds for every single thing that we use in our digital lifestyles today. But I think it's really smart. I mean, GPS system goes down, and these guys have to figure out where they're going. If they don't know where the North Star is, and so on. I mean, what are they going to do? That's just a disaster. So I think this is brilliant. I love it.
Yeah. When you learn to fly an airplane, which I did, had the privilege of doing a few years ago, they teach you all the primitive methods in case something goes wrong with your high-tech equipment. Of course, you can get a super high-tech plane these days, and GPS is fantastic for navigating an airplane. But my flight instructor used to just completely ban GPS devices when we were learning, and some of the things we learned were, triangulating based on the tower locations, and of course, visual flight rules are a heavy part of learning to fly, which is essentially looking out the window and understanding how to use what you see out the window to fly a plane. So I guess it makes sense. You don't want to be stuck in the middle of the ocean going, well, gosh, this GPS is down. I guess we can't go anywhere. That's an unhappy reality when you've got the stars right there. Well, in other news you can lose, who does Alan Pan think he is? Thor, the god of thunder? If you're familiar with the Marvel comic book or the recent movies, you know that only Thor can lift his magic hammer. Pan is an electronics and robotics fellow at the Los Angeles Makerspace and made his own Thor hammer using an electromagnet and a fingerprint reader. Here comes the video.
Find someone who can lift Thor's hammer.
I gotta get me one of these.
Yeah.
That's a strong magnet.
I'd put this out on my front step if I had one.
Yeah, and then he walks up and he just picks it up. So there was another guy who couldn't lift it. It's on metal, of course. This is a very powerful electromagnetic. Now we're looking at the inside of it. It is just it's all magnet inside.
Sure.
And a lot of wires and so on. He's got an Arduino Pro Mini in there controlling it. Solid state relay. And a massive microwave oven transformer element. I don't know what you do with that. This is beyond my maker skills here.
I want one.
A bunch of
That's all I'm
batteries.
saying.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great gag.
Yep.
And then when you hold it and put your thumb on the fingerprint reader, if you're not him, nothing happens. But if you are this guy, then it just the magnet turns off and you can lift the hammer very easily. What a cool project. What a cool project.
Now, if he could just throw it and have it come back to him, that would be really impressive.
That's the 2.0 version is going to happen. Now, I saw in these videos, he's initially put it on manhole covers, but sometimes people can lift those. So later on in the video, he puts it on the edge, including the metal part around the manhole. There we go. That's on the edge. So even if you could lift a manhole cover, you couldn't lift that because it's connected to the part around it. Yeah. That looks like Venice Beach
Depends.
to me.
Just have to be worthy.
Anyway, great project. Very cool stuff. Congratulations
hack.
on that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, our TNT fan of the day is Adam DeWitt, who posted this picture on Instagram. Adam listens to Tech News Today while walking his dog in the morning. Cool-looking dog, too. Look, that looks early, doesn't it, Kevin? It's pitch black out there.
Yeah, it's dark. It looks like he's got a yellow lab, I'm taking a guess. But yeah, that's early morning, I would say.
Going outside at that hour is why I don't have a dog. All right. Great picture. Thank you for posting that. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup and post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. And make sure you use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT so we can find it. Kevin Tofel, what are you working on these days?
Well, I just found out that I do have a new Nexus phone on the way.
Nice.
I can't write about it until a certain date, of course. And I do have in hand the new Dell Chromebook 13 for business, which, you know, internally it's got a lot of the same things inside as a regular Chromebook, but it does have a 1080p display and 4 gig of RAM options, and it's got a really nice build quality to it. So I'm taking that through the my work week for the next couple of days.
That is great to hear because, of course, the reputation that Chromebooks have and Chrome bases and other Chrome OS-based devices is that there's the Chromebook Pixel, which is awesome, and then now the Pixel C, which is apparently awesome. And then you have a bunch of junk at the bottom end, and when you try to use either of these extremes, you're either getting a really inexpensive device that isn't fun to use, or you're getting this fantastic device that's way too expensive. But it sounds like this is something that could satisfy people who like quality hardware, but it won't cost a fortune. So that's very cool.
Yep, I would agree. This is definitely not a junker. It's a nice design, and you can even get Core i chips in it. So I'm looking forward to taking it through the work week.
Very nice. Kevin C. Tofel on Twitter. Kevin, thank you for co-anchoring today, and we'll see you next week.
My pleasure, Mike. Take care.
Bye-bye. Comment on our coverage. Just send email to tnt@twit.tv or call 260-TNT-SHOW. That's 260-868-7469. You can subscribe to Tech News Today, of course, on your podcast app, or you can choose some other way to subscribe at twit.tv/TNT. You can watch us live every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1700 UTC at twit.tv/live. We'd also like you to join our Google Plus community. Just search the Google Plus community section for Tech News Today. You can follow me personally at elgan.com. And don't miss our other news show, Tech News Tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific every single weeknight. And that is the Tech News Today. This show is produced by Jason Cleanthus and edited by Anthony Nielsen. My name's Mike Elgan. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.